All right.
Cut the cable with Verizon Home Internet.
Yeah.
Get your internet bill to just $25 a month.
Finally cut the cable, switch to Verizon Home Internet.
Okay, now the Hornet truck camper. Okay, now the Hornet truck camper. Yeah, so this is it. All right. Here's the Hornet when I first bought it. Now, I first got it home on my truck, and here it is. Sitting on my truck for the first time. The people that owned it was an older man. He said that it was bought at he bought it at an auction. He liked to tinker with old cars, and he bought it. It was on a 1969 Ford truck. And the 69 Ford truck did not run at all. It was just sitting there. It had not been ran in years. The camper had not been used in years, and the roof had leaked in the camper, and it was nasty and dirty. And the roof had not, and the power didn't work in the camper either, because the pigtail that you connect the power with, the pigtail actually was corroded. The connections were corroded, and you just couldn't get. I had to clean the contacts and use my adapter. The camper has 30 amp service and a 30 amp plug. I had to use my 30 amp to 15 amp adapter to plug it into the house. And so there was, just a pigtail that they used to plug the truck up to the camper. And at first the jacks didn't want to work. We got it figured out and used my jacks. The jacks that came with the camper didn't work. So he let me have it $100 cheaper, $200 to $600. So you can see the wall. The curtain is stained from rust and water leakage over the years. And they took and put a piece of wafer board down on the floor and put that on it. So that's still not the original floor. I still haven't done that. Now there was a roof rack on the roof of the camper, And the roof rack on top of the camper had been knocked off and busted, so there were holes in the roof causing the roof to leak. You can see the ceiling right there. You can see the ceiling right there. All that's full of water, and the insulation of the ceiling is moisture, mold, dust, water, everything in that ceiling. You see what I'm saying? And that's what that was. And so it was just, this was damaged somewhat. So there's the rust and stuff and stains on the table. You can see that, how that works. Hey there, Tasha. Good to see you. Notice the countertop is real dirty and nasty. You can see how nasty the countertop is. Tasha, good to see you. You can see that, how nasty that is. And it came with a microwave and a CRT TV set. So I still have the CRT TV. You can see how the ceiling is sagging and stuff like that, you know. All full of water and stuff like that. And I coughed every time I went in this camper. I coughed, you know. See what I'm saying? You can get an idea how the ceiling was, you know. It was just, I mean, the paneling was in shreds. There was nothing left of the paneling on the ceiling. I mean, I took it down. I took the paneling down. Literally, it just went everywhere, you know. That's what it did. It went everywhere. It was lucky that the interior survived as well as it did, but just the leakage just destroyed the ceiling in the camper. So you can see it there. See it? How you see it's wrinkly? That's where it was wet. You see? Yes. I'm doing a live stream right now. Go ahead. If you want to. Go ahead.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay. Did you pay the...
I paid it.
You did?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, now the roof had leaked in the bathroom, and the ceiling light in the bathroom was so bad it was rusty and it wouldn't work because all the contacts in the roof ceiling light in the bathroom were just completely destroyed. So, and you can see that towel, bath towel that's in the bathroom just covered with mold and water, you know. Now there is all of the stuff that belonged to the old people. The people that owned this camper were older people, and the husband got sick, and they couldn't take care of the camper because the husband got sick, and then it went to the auction, and that's when these people bought it. The people that bought it, they didn't have a key to the camper, so they had to break the locks to get in the camper. Kind of like an abandoned house or anything else abandoned. You can see all their stuff is in there, you know, that they had used on the trips. You can see how nasty that is. That towel or whatever that is nasty. You can see how bad that is. You know. The bathroom is just unmaintained, you know. Now, it didn't look real bad, you know, the way it looks. It doesn't look real bad, but it's, you know, usually worse than it is. 1186. The camper's 87, so that's the water pump. You can see there where I pulled part of the ceiling down. You can see that it's kind of, you can see in there it's rotten in there. Now, the roof trusses are aluminum, and the aluminum roof trusses are corroded. They have corrosion, you know, because when you put steel screws into aluminum framing and you introduce water into the mix, then you get galvanic corrosion, you see. I'll edit these pictures. Okay, now here we go. Now there's a sink all dirty the way it is. You can see how dirty the sink is. Look at that. That's like macaroni noodles. That's really old macaroni noodles that were spilled in there. You can see the water had leaked in there in the cabinet and destroyed the cabinet. The water leaked and destroyed the cabinet. It was just horrible and nasty, you know, inside the cabinet. And it doesn't look like that anymore, but it was horrible and nasty. You can see it. With the macaroni all leaked out in there and mold. And there's the ceiling. You can see the white mold in the ceiling. Now, all that is gone now, but that's white mold in the ceiling. That's white mold on all the plywood. See, when plywood rots, when plywood gets wet long enough, it separates. The layers in the plywood separate from each other. And it becomes like paper, you know, layers of sheets of paper, you know, in the ceiling. So it had to be replaced. Lots of mold in the ceiling. There's the stuff in the bathroom where the people had used the camper. And just after they got done camping in it, they just went off and left it, you know. There's a nasty stove. You can see that again. And there's a kitchen table, dinette table. The stains and stuff like that you can see. That's when I started that dirty curtain. And there's the camper on the truck. It's an 11-foot camper. When you, these wings, these parts that stick out in the back, it's going to be 11.5 foot. Now, the interior floor space walking is 11 foot, but when you include the back end that sticks out, it's 11.5. There's a view of the roof of the Coachman sitting there. There's a different Hornet camper. Views of different Hornet truck campers. Different Hornet truck campers. I'm getting a collection of pictures of Hornet truck campers. And the reason I'm doing that, now this is a new propane regulator that I purchased. The propane regulator, the old propane regulator, it has a top on it with a diaphragm in it, and the top blew off of it. Leaked out all the propane. That's what happened to the Coachman, and that's what happened to this one. You see I got my vice grips on there? You see, I'm turning it, and I have this yellow tape. There's the old one and the new one. I use this yellow tape. That's thread seal tape for gas application. Doesn't leak anymore. Stove works, and I can go over the features of the camper and get everything else working in there. See the top of the, yeah, there is the roof again, the ceiling. Where I'd poked holes in it to see exactly how bad it is. To find where the aluminum trusses are at. I wanted to find where the aluminum roof studs were at. There it was after I cleaned it up. Got the kitchen cleaned, everything. cleaned it up quite a bit. And the bathroom, some of the bathroom wall needs to be replaced. The water in the ceiling that leaked ran down the back wall. It leaked in the ceiling, ran down the back wall into the floor, brought it up the floor. See, there's the propane working. See? Propane's working. Now there's what it looked like when I bought it. That's a 69 Ford truck that it was sitting on. It was sitting on that 69 Ford truck that did not run at all. The truck did not run at all. It had been sitting a long time. It had not been. That camper could have been sitting for years. I mean, who knows how many years that camper had been sitting there. Now there's the ceiling after I took out all the roof trusses. After I took out all that aluminum. Took out all that rotten ceiling, that rotten insulation. See the back, there's decking on the ceiling, on the roof, above the roof trusses is decking. The decking lets the roof be firm so you can walk on the roof. See? So you can walk on the roof of the camper. Otherwise, you can never walk on the roof of the camper, you know? So the decking is rusted out in the back, so the camper, see? There's a camper from the other side. And that's the Hornet. And tell me what you think about that versus the Coachman. Now, the Coachman, the cab over is really high in the Hornet. You can sit up in the bed. But the Coachman has this aerodynamic cab over that you can't sit up in the bed. You lose headspace. It's nice and aerodynamic, but you can't sit up in the bed. Now there's a roof truss right there. Aluminum roof truss, and this roof truss has been rusted or corroded with galvanic corrosion. Galvanic corrosion happens when you get steel screws and staples into aluminum framing, and then you have water added into the mix, and then the steel starts to rust, and then the aluminum starts to corrode. I took an angle grinder and cut out all of that, most of the rusted aluminum. So it caused the roof to start sagging, and I didn't realize the roof was going to sag, but it did, because I walked on the roof and it made the roof sag because it weakened these roof trusses. Now, if I keep the camper, I'll eventually take the roof off the camper and get rid of the old roof trusses and replace them with all new members, eventually. If I keep the camper, you can see the corrosion in the aluminum roof trusses, and the galvanic corrosion and stuff, and parts of the wood, remnants of the wood is what the brown is. But the white spots on the aluminum, that's corrosion on the aluminum. Because aluminum, I started to paint it black after I ground off all of the corrosion that I could find on the aluminum, and ground off as much of the corrosion as I could and painted it with black paint. And then these pieces here are braces. I put these braces on the old roof trusses. Eventually, I'm going to replace the roof trusses, but if I kept it, you see, it's another one. And those Hornets, that's a Hornet from the late 70s, like a 79 Hornet truck camper. The camper is exactly the same, you see. It's exactly the same from one year to the next. This company is not the newer Hornet company. You see. But now here I am measuring a piece of foam board with my big square there, and I'm starting to put the now I got the new decking in there. I got the new decking in. and I'll show you some of the screenshots that I've taken. Good to see everyone. That's really a wild truck camper. There's a comparison of the Hornet to the Coachman. You can see the difference. That's a nice truck camper. And I want you to see that. You see how nice the interior is? It's really nice, but on the outside it's just a plain old truck camper. You see what I'm saying? They put a lot of work into it. It's a Hornet. It shows a 1983 Hornet. 1983 Hornet. They say it's a Keystone, but it's not Keystone. It's Hornet Corporation in 1983. They were bought out by Keystone in 1990. They were bought out by another company in 1991. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you, Colonel. Good to see you. Now there's a Hornet fifth wheel. Now there is my... You can see it right there. You can see the old decking that's above the framing underneath the roof. And the new framing, I took all the old decking out. I removed all the old rotten decking. Okay. And that's a neat closet idea. Now, there is another place where I cut out the rotten roof aluminum. And there's another place where I cut out the rotten framing. It weakened the aluminum trusses. And I keep the camper. I replace all the aluminum roof trusses that are in there when I take the roof off again. And I replace it with a combination of wooden framing and aluminum framing in the ceiling. So it'll actually have some wood framing in the ceiling if I keep it. I just need to know if I need to keep it. I should keep it. There's corrosion in the aluminum framing. You can see in the roof trusses. You can see it, and there's the old decking that's rotten, you know, with the galvanic corrosion. And there's a brace that's in place. Now here I am undoing all of the plumbing that goes to the bathroom shower pan. The shower enclosure has to be removed to repair the wall in the bathroom. So there is the I'm working in there, and I've taken the wall out. The wall that goes to the bathroom, I've taken the wall out that goes in the bathroom so I can put... My strategic plan is to fix this camper with as minimal work as possible. What I wanted to do, normally you would have to take the whole roof off the camper in order to replace the roof trusses. To replace the roof trusses, you would have to take the whole top off the camper. Work as possible. So instead of repairing the camper by taking all the roof trusses off the camper, I would remove that bathroom wall so I could put the camper paneling in the camper from the inside of the camper. And I put the paneling in that bathroom. I raised it up, and I slid it over top of the kitchen cabinets, and I had to take a block of wood and I had to pound it in place. It was the hardest thing I ever do because it didn't want to go in place, you know, because there was not enough room. There I am sliding the new decking in place in the back. It's hard to see because it's a small picture, but if you want to pause the camera, you see I took the AC unit off the roof and everything. You see that's the new decking that I slid into place, and there's the new decking. In the back, in the back of the camper is where the roof rack was, and they backed into something and tore the roof rack off the roof and left holes in the roof. And if those holes in the roof caused water to come in and to destroy the roof of the camper. See, you see there I am resealing the roof seam with die-cord. And what I did was I took some 1x2s. I sistered the 1x2s in next to the aluminum framing to strengthen the aluminum framing with the wood 1x2 sistered in next to them to strengthen the structural integrity. There I am working with the hatch to go into the for the AC unit. Now I got the block foam insulation in the ceiling. There's a new piece of paneling. I had to slide it into place over top of the cabinets on on this side and on this side, and there was not enough room, so I had to take the edge of the paneling. I had to take the edge of the paneling to make it go up over top of these cabinets because it wouldn't slide in on top of these cabinets. I took a block of wood and a hammer, and I hammered it centimeter by centimeter. Hammered it in centimeter by centimeter until it finally went into place. And it damaged the paneling quite a bit, but I got it in there. Now I got the paneling in. Of course, the ceiling's sagging, and then later on I'll do a video about how I stop the sagging. And then what? Okay. I got some Gorilla construction adhesive. Okay. I got some Gorilla construction adhesive to adhere the wall panel to the wall with the construction adhesive. Put block foam in the wall. And there it is, construction adhesive. You can see I took the shower enclosure out of there. I had to replace the wall. See, and there's a new piece of. Yes, yes. There's the old floor, and I just patched If I get fucking asshole. Okay. Okay, now. Okay, back to what we were doing. And I'll edit this later. Okay, now here we are. Now here we are with the tools out and everything working. There's the wall in the bathroom put back together. There's the wall put back together in there. You can see that. Air conditioning put back in place. Now I cut the ceiling. I cut part of the ceiling off, and I had to cut part of the ceiling off because of the dip in the roof. But later on, I'll get to what McSpeed1, the channel. Shout out to you, McSpeed1. Thank you for your idea of, using a jack and jacking up the ceiling. Since there's a dip in the ceiling and there's a bowl in the ceiling, and the bowl in the ceiling, oh yeah, naughty girl, huh, Colonel? Yeah, and the bowl in the ceiling was causing roof problems. So I jacked up the middle of the roof and fixed it by jacking up the middle of the roof. And I got rid of the dip in the ceiling where I bent the roof trusses, and I put a couple of pieces of wood on top of there, so I'm going to have to patch up the top of the wall. Now I put this overhead cabinet back up in there, and that camper was just an old truck camper, and they put better windows in it. Even though the siding's patched up, they made it really nice inside, and they want a lot of money for it. They put a rooftop deck on there. That's why I like what you can do with a truck camper. You can put a deck on the roof, you see? So, yeah, that's what that's about. And so, anyway, you can see what I was doing. I've got the block foam in place, being put in place. You can see I have this board up there. This 2x2 is to hold the paneling up while I fix it in place. Now here's the paneling going into place. Now you see how I took the paneling, and this paneling is going to go in the back there. This paneling here is going to go way back in the back. What I'm going to do is put it up there, and I'm going to squeeze it in between the roof and the wall. In between the roof and the wall. And I'm going to do that without tearing out the ceiling. Tearing the roof off the camper, because I don't want to spend that much money on it right now. You see I'm sliding it into place, and I'm using the 2x2 to hold the paneling up while I slide it, and I'm using a board across here, a 2x4, and a hammer to hammer it into place, you see, because it won't go by itself because it's too tight of a squeeze for the paneling to go up in between the roof and the wall to squeeze it in. There's not enough space to squeeze it in. I finally get that back piece of roof truss of paneling in place. Finally got the back piece of paneling in place. And then the back piece of paneling is in place. You can see the dip in the ceiling. And I've used that, since I've used McSpeed1's advice, and it's great, you can see the block foam insulation. Should I keep this Hornet camper or keep the Coachman? There's a lot more space in the Hornet. Now, I haven't cut out the hole yet. That's the new decking. That is the new decking right there. That's the new decking on the ceiling, on the roof. that allows you to walk on the roof, you see. Now what I'm doing is cutting out a hole. There, yeah, so I think that's my ideal of what the Hornet could be like. If I restored the Hornet and redid the Hornet, I could paint it like that, do the inside like that. That green, that olive looking green is just such a pretty color inside the camper. And so, now this is the dirty, nasty cushions, and I took the cushions off so I can wash them and patch them because they're ripped a little bit. Let's see, so I can rip those, fix those. Pictures of some other Hornet truck campers. What that is. It just tells you know about that. Show you. I'm going to show you what McSpeed 1 gave me the idea of. Now the idea is using the jack to jack up the roof. I got a car jack and a 2x2. A car jack and a 2x2. Now I had 1x2. The ceiling right here. Chair. I got a chair with a car jack and a chair. Two going up here with a 2x4 up here, and I jacked up the roof. I jacked up the roof and put these here. And this really stopped the rot, you know. So you can see that the roof is straight now. The roof is straight, and I'm not going to have as much of a problem. And I also patched this up here, you know, just touching up some final things that I need to do. You can see I put the trim back in place. Now I need to disguise that and fix that. If I keep the camper, I'll do a lot of more work to it. But I've got to have a new light in the bathroom. I got to have a new light in the bathroom because the one that was in here was rusted out, full of rust and everything. So, you know, and I've got this. You can see I got this back together. I want to improve it and make it right. You know, that cabinet up there. Put it all back together. So, you know, and the ceiling, I got the trim pieces on the ceiling, you know, all the trim up here. And so I got this camper doing pretty good. Use my new staple gun to staple it all up in place. And so, and tell me what you think of the Hornet camper now. One thing I have in the Hornet, and what I'm going to do is get my stuff, the stuff I'm going to have to live in the camper. What I want to do, even if I just live here at my mom's house. See, I've got this big storage area in the bottom down here. I can use this to be able to store my water, hose, and everything. That's something I really struggled with in the Coachman. Having a place to store water hoses and stuff like that. Sewage hoses, water hoses, lots of things like that. I've struggled to have a place to store it, you know, being in the Coachman. Been in the kind of stroke. Yeah. And I can take this camper and back. I can backdate it. I backdate it a little bit.